We are really excited about Spencer and his wife's baby.
I know. You
I
see the
know, and
picture?
yes. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. I haven't got to watch any of his vlogs yet.
Oh, me either.
Um,
I haven't
yeah,
gotten
so
to watch
I'm
it yet.
excited to do that this weekend because I haven't been able to, but I've seen the pictures and it's just really,
They're so
really
cute.
cool.
Yeah. He was really frazzled at first, and some people were like, "Hey, is Spencer okay?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's fine. He's just got like pre-dad brain." And I just knew that he was gonna be like over the moon once the baby was born, Lena. And
Yeah,
you can just tell from all of his pictures how happy they both are. So
I know.
Oh,
His like cheeks are rosy all the time. I love it.
yeah, I know.
Not the babies, Spencer's.
I know.
That's great. I love it. All right. So, hello, guys. Welcome to Casual Fridays. I'm Amanda with the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, and this is Heather over here. I'm
morning.
not sure if I have my view right. Heather, I think you're over there. Oh, no, you're over there. I guess it depends on how you're watching us this morning. And then you guys don't care about us. What you're really here for is to hear from Maggie. She's our dear friend from Harvest Digital Marketing, and we love her and we love her team. Spencer is also with them. He's not with us today because he just had a baby.
Mhm.
But without further ado, we want to get right into this conversation. We try to keep these conversations short, so we'll get you guys off here in 30 minutes. And if you're watching the recording, you'll have an opportunity to engage with us there too on our social media channels. But Maggie, tell us what Harvest does first before we start chatting away.
Okay, so Spencer and I started Harvest. I think now it's been about a year and a half ago. And truthfully, we didn't totally know exactly what we were doing, and it's still trial and error. But right now, our main goal is to help local businesses kind of wrap their heads around what social media is, which is the first step because it's really has morphed over the past few years.
Mhm.
It used to be like just this extra added bonus, this cute little thing for your business that some people had, but now it's kind of like makes or breaks you, like if you don't have it, you almost don't exist in the eyes of a certain group of people, which is a lot of people that are online.
Yep.
Um,
Wow.
so once we show them the value of social media, and most people get it, but not quite to the extent that they really should be at this point in time. But we also help them create content, which can be the hardest part. That's taking pictures and making video and posting regularly to their social media. So we do that. And also the last thing we do is help them maintain. So we just make sure that, things aren't slipping through the cracks, and we help them keep up with comments and reviews and messages and things like that. So that's basically the bulk of what we do. And we like to keep it small so that we can stay really close with clients, and we can, talk regularly and make sure everyone's happy.
That's awesome. And we will talk a little bit more at the end. Maggie and Spencer do our social media now. And so if anyone wants, they have a lot of clients, but they do ours. So if you want to check it out, we're on social media. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RRSBDC. If you just search that tag, or Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center. And if you watch, they've been with us since December of last year, so not quite a year. But if you scroll down our feed, you'll see the difference. So go check it out if you want to see a before and after of what that looks like. But let's jump into meat
Posting, which is
today.
great.
Would you say, Maggie?
You were posting, which is awesome.
We were occasionally posting. Typically at midnight on my phone in my bed is what was happening. But super excited to work with you. But anyway, we wanted to bring you here today to talk to your small businesses. We've got a couple on here with us today, and then we know that our Casual Fridays get a lot of views and kind of engagement once we post them on social media. So since we don't have a lot of time, let's focus on just some top tips for small businesses, particularly if they have a brick and mortar business, meaning they have a space that the public is coming into. What are things that they need to know, think about? What are those top tips that you give?
Yeah, so there's 3 tips that we really like to focus on. The first one being just do it. Just get out there and post. Don't worry about whether or not it's perfect, especially in the age of COVID. You know, people don't care if it looks incredible. They just want to see you out there. If they're already following you, they definitely want to see what you have to say. No one's expecting perfection. So when I say post consistently, I mean even just once a week. As long as you're just posting once a week, not like once every few months and then like for five posts in a day and then you disappear for another month. It's not the end of the world if that's all you can manage to do, but posting consistently is just much better. And the reason for that is because unconsciously people just expect that, you know, once they gotta say next. And that doesn't even have to look like posts. You know, if you are familiar with the stories feature, you could just put something up on your story once a day, some behind the scenes. It doesn't have to be a product shot or food or something that's really set in stone. It can just be you talking to the camera, talking about what kind of coffee you're drinking this morning, just stuff that has your audience see you every day and they trust you. And because they trust you, they're more likely to want to see what you have to provide for them, whether that's a service or a product. So yeah, definitely number one is post consistently.
And it's so important in this buy local consumerism that we have right now. But honestly, in our region, we're kind of the small business capital of Virginia. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. But in our region, we really are. So it's critical here in small business. I think, you know, Maggie, we'll talk about trends later, but it used to be on social media that if you were a small business, you wanted to act like you were a big business. Like you wanted it to be, like you might be a team of one, but you'd say we. You'd pretend that it's this big thing. And now that's not okay. It's like people want the like one person or, you know, retail. They want to know who's working that day and what are they doing in the shop. And so I love that we've made that shift. And I think you're right. Posting every day or not posting, posting consistently is so important. That's a great tip. And I will add to that, Maggie gets on me because we know that videos do really well because people like to, they're more relatable and they can see you in your natural habitat. With my backwards team optimism shirt on. But Maggie has really taught me to stop thinking about, you know, what do I look like? What am I going to say? It's like you just do it. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. And then you just kind of, you see that it's not that big of a deal.
Right, so, that's so true. And honestly, me telling everyone else to do it has taught me that I need to do it.
Sometimes it's easier to tell people what to do.
It's right. And you know, and to further, you know, talk about stories and saying stuff like talking to the camera and your audience, the more people watch your stories and interact with it, the more your actual posts on their grid will pop up on their feed. So like the more people are seeing your stories and interacting with it, whether that be like either just viewing it or answering polls or questions, question stickers, things like that, the algorithm will note that because Instagram wants to keep you on the app. So if it sees that people are engaging with your posts, they're gonna bump it up, prioritize it on everyone's feeds. So just keep that in mind if you ever don't like stories or don't think that they're important, because they really are.
That's cool. That's a great tip. I didn't know that. I'm glad we do a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, what's next? So one is post consistently. I guess decide what that is for you and what you can commit to it and do that consistently.
Yeah. So kind of segueing into the next one is be authentic. And we sort of already touched on that, but no one's expecting perfection from you, and you're your biggest critic. So you know, don't labor for hours trying to figure out the perfect thing to post because it doesn't match perfectly to the one before it. It is important to have, you know, kind of a consistent looking theme, but it doesn't need to be top brand dollar looking sort of grid or Facebook posts, if you know what I mean. So you can post behind the scenes videos, and if it's really cute or really funny, like maybe your kid's running around the store but the lighting is really bad, just post it, because all the best viral videos in the world are not perfectly lit. You know, people just like that humanness behind videos like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, that adds to people trusting you and seeing that you're a real person behind what you're selling. People don't want to be sold to 100% of the time. You know, when you're just going about everyday life, I don't remember if this statistic is true, but people see like 5,000 ads a day, whether
Wow.
that's on billboards or commercials or just Instagram, you know, scrolling through, seeing a sponsored ad, Facebook, they see so many ads. And so they get on Instagram and Facebook just to see what their friends are up to. So if you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
considered one of their friends who happens to have a product or service, they're more likely to want to come to you when they need that service or product. And let's see, no special camera is needed. You do not need to go on Amazon and buy a $300 camera. You can just use your phone. And it doesn't matter the quality, just start somewhere. And if you want to upgrade eventually and get a camera or a nicer phone just for Instagram and social media, and Facebook, you can do that. But a nice camera isn't going to do anything if that's your starting off point, if you didn't even have anything to build off of in the first place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. Don't worry about that either. Basically, the whole theme of this is just to get out there and do it, because perfection, it doesn't matter anymore.
And we all have our phones in our hands all the time. So
Yeah.
it's, although I have realized it has to become a habit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't typically capture everything that I do. I don't do it in my personal life, and it's been hard for me on the business side to do that because I just don't even think about it. I'm trying to live in the moment. But if you kind of create those reminders and you've got your phone in your hand to hit record or take a photo, even if you don't use it, right? Like just to get in the habit of capturing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because our phones are like, they're fine. Like it's fine to use that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad you think so too.
Oh yeah, totally. And I didn't used to think that. And it used to be different, you know, like having a perfectly catered brand was that meant that your business or company was elevated if you like had this amazing looking grid with the same color, same. And sometimes I can still look really good, but it's a fine line between, oh, this is just like a brand that's trying to sell me something. And just someone who's really good at keeping up an aesthetic. So like sometimes being too catering, not the right word, but too like perfect can be detrimental to you. So don't worry about that. People just want to be entertained. And if you are an authority on something, like if you're a resource, say you're a massage therapist, you know, you could give out tips every Tuesday on like little things you could do for yourself. Like you could stand up against a wall and stretch your back in a certain way. People are going to want to follow you because they don't want to see little infographics about specials that you have every day. They want to see things like what they can do for themselves, and they want to see your face, and they want to get to know you. So that's what followers are looking for nowadays. They don't need to follow a brand just for products.
You know, Maggie's today, like there are so many free, everything's free, right? You can find any resource you need on YouTube, on like knowledge these days is just free. Granted, we can still charge for it, but it's free in so many cases. And I've noticed that because that's been a shift in the last few years, a lot of us are still like, I don't want to give away my stuff for free. I don't give away my information for free. That's what they need to come to me for.
Right.
But I know for sure, just watching, you know, our clients and a lot of my past work is that you're building trust with them to actually want to buy your services,
Exactly.
even though you're telling them they can do it themselves. And I won't take too much time talking about this. There's this great nail brand that started in California called Olive and June. You might see them in Target now. But they started out as one little nail salon. And they realized that what was really going to catapult them to the next level was to teach people how to do their own manicures.
Oh yeah.
which is so counterproductive to you want them to come into your store, right?
Right.
But now they've turned into this mega brand. They have a deal with Target. They have these home kits that you can buy, and that's a much bigger part of their business than the actual salon itself.
Wow.
So it's just a really cool example of how sharing that knowledge, or those Tip Tuesdays or whatever it is, could potentially in the end turn out into something like really big for you.
Oh yeah, totally. Because at the end of the day, they can teach until they're blue in the face about manicures, but people are still going to want to, you know, get it done.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
just
I love watching their stuff, but no, I get I really go to the salon either. But you know, you're right. It's like there's an audience for both. That's really cool. I love that tip. Authenticity.
Yes.
That's great.
What's next? I know you have a third one.
I do. Let's see. So, you know, people want to feel like they're a part of something, which kind of snowballs off of being authentic. So when you have customers that are commenting or messaging you, you have to answer. Like, and you don't have to answer right that second. But it's almost the virtual world is just getting so much closer, and there's such a gray area between that and the real world that it's almost like you're asking someone a question to their face, and if you don't answer it, it's rude. You know, it's you're ignoring them. And if they took the time to type it out, you need to take the time to type out an answer. And you can do something on Facebook, and I don't think Instagram right now, but there's an automated message option that is very handy. You know, you could automatically reply to them and say, here's our number. If it's about this, this is the answer. Here's our website. You can go here for more information. But nowadays, if you don't answer them, people really feel like they're shunned, and they are so much more likely to go to your competitor, you know, and the competitor could be not nearly as good as you, but they'll feel like they're being valued and appreciated as a customer. And that's so much more work on you because, you know, you're so busy running your business in the physical world. I do realize that it's so hard it's almost like you're running a whole nother business in the digital space. So, I won't lie, it does take effort and it does take time, but what I found is that even if you just set aside 15 minutes at the end of every day just to check your notifications, you could even turn off your notifications the whole day so you can focus on your actual business physically. And then at the end of the day, when you're closing up shop or having a beer after work, just answer anything that people may be asking you online.
But don't have too many beers and start answering.
And what?
I said, don't have too many beers and start answering.
Yeah,
be problematic.
Just that's my fourth tip: a 1 beer cap limit for answering comments, but also reviews, because outside of the people commenting and emailing and actually getting in contact with you, it's important that they feel appreciated. But there's this whole other world of people who are just watching, you know, they're not active. They don't like to comment. They just are observers on like Facebook and Instagram. And you'll never know who saw it, but people will be looking through your comments. You know, like if you answer a bad review elegantly and sincerely, you make one person happy, but you could have made 5 other people happy who happened upon that when they were looking through Google reviews. So definitely be careful and don't let those slip up through the cracks. And reviews can be like a once a week thing too, if that's all you can manage.
I love that, because those are so easy to slip through the cracks. Sometimes, especially if you are active on social media and your notifications are like 100 a day, like you just have so many, it's hard to see those. So I like the tip, like to plan some time at the end of the day to make sure you just kind of looked at all that stuff. Yeah. I read, it might have been a video or it might have been a book, I don't know, but this great idea. I'm not there yet. But their suggestion was, if you really wanted to ramp up your game, is that, or this one particular company did this, when someone left a review, the owner of the company, and this wasn't a 3 or 4 person company. I think there was like 50 or so employees. So not big business. They still would be small business. He would stop whatever he had, like his notifications set up, and he would pay attention to those on his page, and wherever he was and whatever he was doing, he would stop and do a quick like video. He would hold his phone up and say, "Hey, so-and-so," "Hey, Maggie, thanks for leaving us a review," and then like just quickly answer it. And he would type an answer too. And I thought that is brilliant. And like it showed some of the videos that he did. And sometimes he was in the grocery store or something. I mean, he was like all over town, but he would just, like, it took 2 seconds for him to do that and send it. And I thought that is brilliant.
That's
I want to be there. I want to be there where I'm like able to just pay attention to that and do it.
That's advanced. That would be so great if you can do that, but that is not what people expect. So.
But at least pay attention and comment, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and so this all just kind of speaks to the fact that your online presence isn't, it's not just a signpost anymore, and now it's a community, and so you want to engage and speak with people. And I liken it to when you move to a new city. You can't just buy friends. Sometimes these accounts or people will try to convince you that you can buy followers, and you can buy followers. You can have 10,000 and it'll look really great on your profile, but when it's such a facade, because as soon as you click on their photo and they have 39 likes, it's like, okay, so those followers aren't real, because that ratio doesn't make any sense. So what you have to do is pretend like you're just moving to a new city, like hit up all the spots, the regular spots, and that could be, following some big accounts within the area, commenting and liking on their posts. You could join groups, talk to people, comment, basically just comment a lot, and only if it's authentic. Don't just like put a heart under every single post, like you're having a conversation with someone. And that is a slow burn. It does not happen over time, or quickly. It happens over time. So it's much like face-to-face real people. So don't be discouraged if after, like 6 months you only have 100 followers, because 100 people, quality over quantity, 100 people can make a really big difference.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of folks that I talk to, when I show them this, that they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that." But if you have a personal account, which you have to have on Facebook to have a business account, so you have a personal account on Facebook and or Instagram and your business account, when you go to comment, you can choose, not on Instagram, let's back up, on Facebook, you can choose who you're commenting as. And so, you could do either, but if people know, or you want people to drive, I guess, to your business page, you would post as your business. Would that be right? You comment as your business, or would you comment personally?
That's a good question. So to get more engagement, you're asking if you should post as your business or yourself?
Yeah.
I would say definitely do both if you want, but your business will probably will come up closer to the top, because people want to see what the author has to say. It's almost like a second caption. So I'd say do business, but it is a good look when the owner, their personal account, is also engaging with your business page, because again, it adds a human face and a human element.
Very cool. And on Instagram, I think you have to be in one of the other accounts. Like if you're in your business account, you're commenting as your business. And if you're in your personal account, you're commenting as your personal account.
Right. And it can get confusing, which is, sometimes people get discouraged because they're like, I don't know how to use this.
I had to delete a lot of comments because I posted as the wrong person and it made no sense, and I had to delete and change it. And
so have I.
Yeah, you have to jump in and do it.
It's way too easy to do. It's dangerously easy to do.
Yeah. And I'll tell you guys a quick story. In one of my businesses, I had a large team, and we all had access to the business Facebook page. Because we were a membership-based business, so people were associated with whoever their coach was, not necessarily the owner of the business. But a lot of times we would like post as the business on stuff that we shouldn't have been posting as the business. And so we like had to have a second person like just watching that every day to make sure that we hadn't made a mistake.
Well, we had one of our clients, one of the managers was this real goofy woman, and she's so funny, and she always posted the funniest memes and little things to her Facebook. And she was an admin, and after a while of just like her posting accidentally to the business page, I was like, listen, I gotta take you off. I'm so sorry, but like you can't be trusted.
You can't be trusted. I love it.
But yeah, so just don't worry about it. It's people make mistakes.
Yeah. So that, Maggie, that leads me into when you said you can't be trusted, because I love that. We also need to be okay with not being able to be trusted. Which leads me to, like, sometimes as an owner, you can do this on your own. I've had many businesses where I or my team or, both did social media. It was a big part of our business and we put a lot of time and effort into it. But there's other times where you just simply cannot add that to your plate, but we know it's critical. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about working with you guys at Harvest. One, we like to work with other small businesses, especially if you're just starting out like you guys were, but having you be able to take over that for us, and we all co-collaborate and we do some and you guys do some, but that's been a huge lift off our shoulders. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like if someone wanted to reach out for help because they're just overwhelmed, they can't do it, don't want to add something else to their plate.
Yeah. So I would say that there are varying degrees to what people want from us, at least. Some people want us to take it all off their plate and just don't want to give any creative direction, and that's totally fine. Then there are others who are just really passionate about their brand and what they want it to look like. And so we try to give them as much of a voice as they want. We don't want them to relinquish control if they don't want to. We just want to amplify their voices and kind of translate it for an online space. And then there's people who are a little bit in between, like they teeter back and forth because they've got so much on their plate. Sometimes they're like really passionate about this one thing they want to say, but they're like, I can't take the rest this week. Just do it. So we really like to speak with people and figure out what they want to say and how they want to say it. And we help them do that.
I think that's important for people to know. For you guys that are on with us today, or if you're watching this recording, and I say this because we just work with so many clients that need help. And there's a misconception that one, it costs a lot of money, and two, that it has to be all or nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's typically like the kind of discomfort level. And there are, lots of firms out there, you guys included, that do various levels and can customize what that looks like for you and based on your budget. We know that small businesses, we're a nonprofit. We have an incredibly tight budget, like beyond belief. So it's tight and we have to manage that too. And you guys as small businesses do. So I think there's always like this, what can you afford? And here's what we can do for that. Right. And to know that if you do seek out help, guys, as small businesses, it's certainly not cheap. You're going to get the level of work or support based on what you're paying. Creative work is incredibly valuable. And I know you artists that are watching this know this. So certainly, you want to pay what it's worth. It's a valuable, incredibly valuable service for your business, but also the work that goes behind it is valuable work. Sometimes if it's not a doctor, a lawyer, or someone that, is at that professional level that you have to seek their services, we think we shouldn't have to pay for it, or it's incredibly inexpensive. So while it's not as much as most people think, you do want to be open to paying because it's worth it. It's worth the time and the knowledge, and the creative direction. It's certainly a value. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up? I know we're like a minute away, and I want to make sure if our folks that are on today have questions, have time. Anything you want to end with?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that it's worth it, because it is hard to remember that it is creative as well. There's a lot of creative effort that goes on behind the scenes. I would say that it's really important. social media is kind of like the new Google. When people research your company, sometimes the first place they go is Facebook or Instagram. And so that's like your new signpost. My dog is trying to get into my room, so
I love
that
it.
knows it. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. Again, just show up. Don't worry about perfection, and have fun with it most of all, because it is a fun thing to do. Once you get the hang of it, you might get addicted.
That's awesome. I love it because, yeah, it can be. And I wanted to, before we open this up for questions, we do have a comment from Kathy. Thank you for saying that, and I'll read that out loud here in a second. Before we hopped on, Heather had a couple of tips that were really great. Heather, if I get these wrong, like, just tell me. But because she works with a lot of our body type businesses, and a couple of things that she's talking about with businesses and that seem to be people are unaware of or just not really sure about. And one is right now with coronavirus, if you're doing pictures of your staff and things, it might make sense for everyone to have masks on. Sometimes it doesn't. If it's just you talking, I think it's okay not to have that. But if you're in a group or you're showing people in closer proximity, like, be aware of that. And people want to feel comfortable coming into your store. And if you're showing that, and that's part of your everyday stuff, I think it's important. And it goes back to being authentic. You're not taking off your mask because it looks better, right? I like wearing my mask all the time.
Sunglasses too.
Exactly. Did I get that right, Heather? Is that kind of what small business is? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other, we just want to, you nailed it on the head with people are going to social media, sometimes over Google. I know I do it because Google, people typically don't update Google as much. And so your address might be wrong or whatever. And by the way, please do that. Update your Google account, show all the correct stuff. But now your hours might be changed. So make sure that that's updated on your social media accounts. And then of course your Google business page, because the hours are critical. I'm kind of frustrated with that now, especially small businesses. I'm trying to figure out when are they open and when are they not.
Right.
Their hours are the same, and I get there and they're closed, and it's like, it took me 30 minutes to drive here. And granted, I could have called, but who does that, right? Like, who does
Then
that?
you get so mad, right? Like it's
it's
not a small thing.
Update your hours.
Yeah.
It's
You feel like you have beef with them after that, and all they did was forget to upload their hours.
I know. So it just takes a second. If anybody needs help with that, by the way, just give us a call or reach out to us, send us an email at hello@roanokersmallbusiness.org, and we'd be glad to walk you through that process, because it's not simple in some ways, but simple enough for us to walk you through it so that you can do it if you don't know how. But I want to read this comment from Kathy. She said, thank you, Maggie and Amanda. Great session, and appreciate that you don't have to be perfect. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you, Kathy, for telling us that. Does Kathy, I think we have a Whitney on here. Do you guys have any questions for Maggie before we head off?
That's all right.
Just unmute yourself if you do. And if you don't, that's okay too.
Oh yeah, and video just does so much better. So if you're ever wondering what to do, post a video. People love that.
She's saying that to me. She is. She's secretly.
Those subliminal messages.
Yes. I hear that. I hear it. No, we're trying, but that's a great tip, because it like literally does better, like algorithms and all the good stuff that we don't understand, but Maggie does. And Whitney said, thank you for the information. You're most welcome, Whitney. And if you guys are watching this recording, you can still interact with us. Just leave us a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, our comments are turned off. I know Maggie probably doesn't like this, but the reason we do that is because we just don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to manage that many platforms. We try to push everything to Facebook and Instagram, where we're constantly on there and posting and engaging with you guys. So head over to one of our social media pages. You'll see this video posted there, and comment and let us know what questions you have, and we'll engage with you there, certainly. And if we can't answer them, we'll tag Maggie and Harvest to make sure that they can get you the questions answered. So without further ado, we have cheers. And if Kathy, Whitney want to join us with this, we're just going to do a little cheers with our water or coffee or whatever you have. Cheers, guys. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. And Heather, what's our next casual Friday?
Next is September 18th with Deb Squire, and she'll be talking about transitioning from working full-time somewhere else into exploring the opportunity to be a business owner.
Oh, so tell everybody you know that has thought about starting a business but hasn't yet, because I know Deb's great. She's a great resource for that, and that'll be a fun conversation.
Yes.
September 18th.
Yes, next Friday.
Okay, awesome. All right. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you on the 18th. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.